Mamma mia.
Yeah, that's whose mom it is. It's your mom.
My mother.
Yes. We should translate Mario. My mother.
Yeah.
What other stuff does he say that's Italian, or is that the only one?
What's spaghetti Italian for? Is it Italian for, like, flat noodle or something?
Fettuccine is probably that.
I think the E is plural. A single strand might be spaghetto.
Nice.
Oh, spaghetti, it literally means strings.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It means little string.
So he should say little string.
Well, it's the little strings that kill.
That's
So-
right.
Yeah. I like my advice ball. It's just this little thing I like, but you reject it. You hate it because I like it. This is episode 242 of Insert Credit, a video game talk show featuring a panel of experts with a sworn duty to thoroughly address each topic presented to them within 6 minutes or suffer the indignity of a horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and when I'm creating a character in a sports game, I usually give that character the jersey number 1.
Oh, interesting. I'm Frank Cifaldi, and when I'm creating a character in a sports game, it's been a while, and something that comes to mind for me, I don't remember which game it was or even who made it, but I had an NBA game on the Sega Genesis, because this is the brief time that I was like actually into watching the NBA. I had a good 2 seasons or so. And as most of us know, Michael Jordan was not a player that one would find in a basketball game during his prime. Mm-hmm. So in this game, you can create basketball characters, and I put in the name Michael Jordan, and they had very cleverly put in hidden characters they didn't have the rights to that unlock their numbers and appearance and stats by putting their names in. They got away with that somehow. So
that's smart.
Yeah, so I just started experimenting. It was like Magic Johnson, and like that worked too. And there's probably a good list on GameFAQs or something for whatever this game was. But I guess my answer is I see if there's actual hidden characters in there somehow.
Interesting. I'm Tim Rogers, and when I'm creating a character in a sports game, I try to give them the number 420.
Nice.
Yes.
And then you can't, because they only give you 2 letters. So I go for, believe it or not, 42, which is also significant elsewhere in sports. Sometimes I'll go with the number 18, as the numerology has it, numbers 1 and 8. You separate them with 1, 0, that's lucky. If there's no 0, it's still chill. So 18 is another number I go with if I'm making myself. Recently, I made a character in NBA, my career mode, NBA 2K, the newest one, whose number was 00, and his name was Bricky Lee's Trash Can. So that's the number I'd give a guy like that. Thank you.
That makes sense. I'm Brandon Sheffield. Just to query Jeffy about your intro, are you the advice ball in that scenario? I know that it's from Facade, I'm aware, but it just like if in the context of the podcast, would you be the advice ball?
I think you're the advice ball in that I am questioning each of you to...
oh yeah, you consult us.
Exactly.
That's right. I was just trying to figure it out. Okay, I'm Brandon Sheffield, and when I'm creating a sports character, I mean, I guess everybody would assume, and it's true, that I use the number 13 because I'm perpetually a high schooler. So 13, unlucky 13, Pocket likes it.
Oh.
Barks to do. Yeah, that's me.
All right. Joining us this week is Loose Cannon, game design lead for Future Club, and aspirational player of every video game, Mathew Kumar.
Oh, sorry, that was a little too loud.
I've never liked that term aspirational. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you're either doing something or you're not doing it, right?
Right.
So
I'm an aspiring author. It's like, no, you're...
Are you goddamn Yoda? It's saying
exactly. I am in fact Yoda. Many people have not seen the true pictures of me. I'm a tiny green man who lives on a forest planet.
You're just repackaging a Yoda quote when you say you're either doing something or not doing it.
This is very combative already, Tim. Jesus Christ, is it because I said your voice is velvety? Fuck's sake.
I just don't like you, Mathew Kumar. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna. That's my character motivation this week. Is I'm a guy who doesn't like Mathew Kumar. I'm sorry.
It's your character motivation this week.
It was written in the fortune cookie. So it said.
It's in the show Bible.
That's how
It's
I
in the
get
show
my.
Bible.
That's how I get my cues every week.
Matthew, what jersey number do you put on your sports characters?
Honestly, like, the last bunch of sports games I've played where I've created a character involving football games, so football, or as you know, it's soccer, you don't actually choose your jersey number, right? It's usually just assigned. So, it's probably going to be 9 because you're always going to play a striker because you want to score the goals. But if I'm picking a number for stuff, it's usually the number 52. It's one of those numbers that for some reason has just a special sort of connection between me and friends from university. One of those numbers you see a lot, number weeks in a year, other things. Every time I see it, I think of special times with pals. So that's what I tend to use.
52.
Yep.
All right. Brandon, you won the show last week. For those of you just tuning in for the first time to this episode, every single episode I choose a winner based on how well our panelists do at answering and handling each of these inane questions. And the award for being able to do it the best is that you have to come up with a question for next week. And Brandon won the last one, which means he's got to go into his notes app on his phone and find one of the things he pre-wrote.
And you gave him plenty of time to do that. That was really well done.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was dealing with the dog instead of doing it. So I'm not ready.
Okay, we'll come back to you in a bit. Our first question then is one I've been noodling about for a little bit. What makes a video game obscure?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
If you're a guy who knows a lot about the video games and you just encountered it today and you've played enough of it to pretend on Twitter that it's a game you've always liked, that's an obscure video game. Thank you. That's I love this old one. Has anybody heard of this? You're just like scrolling through pages of I've downloaded every PlayStation 1 game ever made, and I'm just like lighting up games. Planet Tokyo. Oh, that's one I've always loved. That one. Planet Tokyo. Does everybody know that game? Wonderful. And then you play it for like 2 hours, and nobody's heard of it, and people are very impressed when you bring it up, right? Just name dropping it.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be one person listening to this who's heard of that game, and that's how I get my fix.
How do you measure that before you deploy the name?
I mean, I think obscurity is not.
You feel it after.
Yeah, it's not real. It's subjective, of course, because I see people on the internet be like, why doesn't this arena filling musician get more acclaim? They're so under the radar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, comparative to the experience that they're having with their individual friends, I guess that's probably true. Whereas I tend to think of something obscure if I haven't heard of it because I have done my best to try to know about stuff. But on the other hand, like, you could tell me about a NES game that probably 75% of people played, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't know about that, So, like, it's all about your experience. Like, I knew what Worm was vaguely, but I'd never really looked at it. And then when I looked at it, it was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Was that obscure?
Yeah, you like Worm.
Yeah. Is that obscure? Probably not. I mean, it's a little obscure. It's not like a game everyone had, but it came out here in the US. So, like, I don't know. I think obscure is so relative and so related to the speaker. It can only really be like, this game was obscure to me until now.
Yeah, and you're sort of marshaling the game toward a larger renown. When you declare a game obscure, you are asking without asking that others acquaint themselves with it such that it is no longer,
indeed,
strictly speaking, obscure. And that eventually when it comes up in a thread on, what's the craziest video game that you've ever played that no one has ever talked about? And then, like, the first comment is, on the Super Nintendo, there is a game called Earthbound. And
right.
it's very important to me. And it's like, and then all the replies are like, I know this one too. And you sit there and you realize that you're 43 years old.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right, dude, it's whatever.
Every episode of this podcast is me coming up with a different way to phrase that exact question.
That's right.
Yeah.
One example from recently is there's a game called Space Invaders: The Original Game on the PC Engine. And it's a CD-based game, and the main game is just straight Space Invaders. In addition, there is a mode where you can play versus Space Invaders, and it's got like schoolgirls yelling "Gambare" and whatever, and you're playing Space Invaders against each other for score and their little power-ups and stuff. And it's not a game that became popular. It didn't, they never did that again. It is not something that is frequently discussed, and if you looked at the cover of the video game, you wouldn't know that that part was in there. So that's kind of obscure, but as soon as I now talk about it, I mean, wouldn't you want to play versus Space Invaders with yelling, fully animated sprite schoolgirls on a PC Engine game? Probably people listening to this show would, and then the game doesn't become obscure anymore. And was it ever really, when it's just like it's in the Space Invaders franchise? Like how obscure is one of the most recognizable video games of all time?
I feel like any Space Invaders after the first Space Invaders is obscure.
I don't know.
Space Invaders Extreme's not that obscure. Yeah, that's not too obscure. Yeah.
We just said that in unison. And there was that one that came back into arcade, Space Invaders Fever or something. And it had the huge screen, and you shot at the invaders with like these mounted turret things, and it reinvigorated arcades for a while.
I feel like it's possible for a game that's at like a Dave and Buster's to still be obscure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to, like, something you have to go to a Dave and Buster's to play at this point. Yeah, probably is obscure.
But the weird thing is, it'll be obscure for people like us or like hardcore game types. However, it would not be obscure for like a family of 6.
All relative to the beholder.
Because they would be going
I just have one more thing to say about obscure. Obscure is one of my most commonly misspelled words. I type very quickly with very high accuracy, but obscure is on the list. I've been keeping a list of my most frequently misspelled words, and I very often misspell obscure, O-B-S-C-U-R-E, as O-B-S-C-R-U-B-E, and I don't understand where the B comes from. I'm often misspelled obscure as obscrube. Yeah, and I don't know where the B comes from, and I don't know why I type it that way, but it's like maybe 1 out of 10 times I try to type the word obscure. And I've become afraid of the word obscure because I know that obscrube is going to pop out.
Radio and ratio, I want to put an N on the end of both of those. Yeah. And that's 1 out of 10 times. I'll put Raytheon. Yeah. Raytheon, Radeon.
Well, at least ration is a word.
I'll be on topic, why not? What I would say is, I feel like it's something that you can actually like define quantifiably in terms of like, there's so much information for everything on the internet, right? Like it used to be, like I used to do a very short radio thing about obscure games people hadn't played, and like, you know, a lot of those games now people know pretty well. Like even one I mentioned back, that is like over 10 years ago now, was like Live Alive or Live Alive, however you pronounce it, the Square game, like, which at the time was, I think, fairly obscure, right? There wasn't a lot of English writing about it on the internet. Like, say you watch something like, you know, Jeremy Parish's Game Boy Works. Sometimes they'll talk about like a game, and you'll be like, there's almost no information about this, even on the Japanese internet. People just didn't really care about this game, right? So I think that, like, realistically, if we're talking about things which are obscure, like, it really just comes down to, like, how much coverage of it, like, exists, how much information can you pull up about it without, like, having to dig it up or play it yourself.
Right.
Alternatively, what makes a video game obscure is if it's a survival horror game from about 2005 on a PS2 featuring the music of Sum 41.
There we go. That's the one.
Oh, very good.
I wanted to say one more thing, though, which is, you take a game like Linda Cube, which is
good game,
probably obscure by most people's definitions in the larger sphere. But then you go to like the insert credit forums and you just casually reference Linda Cube, and everybody has played it, or at least knows about it.
But that's a very particular audience,
yeah,
the insert credit forum.
When you say that, that's only a small amount of people, right? You're talking about a generality of something being obscure or not, right? Why not just quantify it as to how many people actually know about it or care about it? Like, insert credit is definitely not like a mass audience. Do you know what I mean? So, like,
is insert credit obscure?
I would say so. Like, by comparison to like many other things, absolutely.
Maybe a lot of those people there have seen my action button bonus feature extended length Let's Play video of Linda Cube. Maybe, I don't know.
Some of them
could be.
I just think it's a sliding scale, you know? Like, it's not something you can say, that game's obscure, that game isn't obscure. There's a level of obscurity to things, you know?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, except for that one game you mentioned on PS2. That one's fully obscure.
That is definitively obscure.
Nice.
The sequel, however, is not definitively obscure, it's obscure too.
Brandon, have you had time to conjure a question, or do we need to give you some more time?
My questions document it turns out, has been depleted. I forgot to delete all of the...
We'll come back to you in a bit then.
Although I could ask a question that I've asked before, which
You
might...
could do that. We're allowed to revisit questions.
Break it off, bro.
There's no rule against it.
Okay. The question is, what is a game that you didn't like until you played it? So
interesting.
I believe I asked this some time ago, but for me, the example was Crusader of Senti, where I didn't think it looked fun, and I just wasn't interested in it. And then about like a bootleg Genesis cart of it, I just played through the whole dang thing in 2 sittings because it's really nice and cute and has all these little extra bits in it, and it just feels nice to play. And I didn't even like the music, but then when I played the game, I was like, this music is good. So do you all have stuff like that in your experience?
So when you say a game you didn't like until you played it, you mean a game that you went in expecting to dislike, or that you had all your previous acquaintance with it had made you feel as though if you played it, you wouldn't like it?
That all feels fair game to me.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you were really mad about Fortnite and then you went and played it and you're like, oh, actually, pretty good.
I mean, I definitely knew I wouldn't like Fortnite, and then I played it, and game's good, but the aesthetic is so repugnant that I feel justified in saying I still don't like it.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
I play a ton of Fortnite. That's I'm willing to admit that on this podcast that I play Fortnite like at least like 2 hours a week because I play with some friends, and it's a really fun game. I agree that the aesthetic is not really that good, but it's such a perfect hangout game. Like, it's like there's no pressure really to like play the game, so you can just like run around, kind of do. Sometimes someone appears, your group kills them, you move on, you just run around this world and just chat about what's going on. Like, I started playing during the pandemic because here's what I'll get for Fortnite, right? We were looking for something where there was no problem with crossplay, right? Because like everyone had different systems and blah, blah, blah. But the Fortnite, the genius of the game above everything is that you can turn on any friggin' system outside of iOS now, where you can download it, I guess, and it will connect to any other system, right? So if they're on a PS4 and you're on a friggin' Android phone, you can play together and you can talk to each other, which like just made it the quickest thing for us at the beginning of the pandemic to load up and play. And like that's turned into basically 2 years of us playing it, right? Which is like crazy when I think about it, because like it's a dumb game, right? But it's just, and also it's so smooth to friggin' play. Like every single like action that you do in the game basically feels amazing. It's insane. I don't know, like it's kind of, you say, like, it looks so kiddie and annoying. There's so much stuff about it that kind of is annoying, but as a seamless, immediate like gameplay experience, and like in terms of like its quote unquote metaverse thing, it's so seamless that it's the closest anyone has ever got, I think. Which is not really answer your question, Brandon, but I just wanted to say how kind of weirdly amazing Fortnite is in some ways.
I mean, it could be the answer to your question if you didn't like it before.
There's some good stuff in that Fortnite game, man. There's some real good stuff in there. I just can't stand the whole like pinatas and Banana Man and whatever, and the like cartoon hobo shanty walls. I think the building sucks.
The building sucks.
It's incredible that it's just the 1990s. It's just it's like a modern day Unreal Tournament being sold for billions of dollars to all the people of the world. I think that's cool. It's shooters won, right? It kind of feels like that. Just feels like the classic shooters have succeeded in taking over the world, which is neat because I always knew those games were cool. Whatever. Game I didn't like before I played it. I don't know. I guess I've reached a stage in my life where I just don't really give too many things a chance, if you know what I mean.
I guess I've stumped everyone.
I mean, that's kind of where I am right now. Like, I couldn't think of any games, so I started thinking about what situation would I play a game that I was not interested in playing, and all I can think of is like in an arcade, you know, and like a friend wants to play something with me. Like I don't find myself in like people's houses and they like start up a video game and hand me a controller, you know. So
yeah.
Oh, but Frank, what about like when you're going through a ROM list and you're like, oh, it's that game or whatever, or like the Beethoven Second or whatever.
You know what? That's probably a really good example. But even then, it's like I know that I like bad platformers.
Yeah.
So I kind of expected to appreciate something about that game.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think I've ever like loaded a sports game and went, hey, this is pretty good. That is a genre where I would hesitate.
It's just it's hard to like a thing, you know. It's just harder to like a thing. As a previous a former person who just wrote a bunch of negative video game reviews a long time ago, I can tell you it's very easy to go into something not wanting to like it and think of more reasons not to like it. It's just as easy, or if not easier, to allow your prejudices to go forever unchallenged and not acquaint yourself with the thing. It's very difficult to actually look at a thing you've already decided to dislike and then decide to like it. And it makes most people uncomfortable. So I guess it's just not an act. These days, I don't know what happened to me. Something happened to me where it's just like, I see something and I'm just like, I'm going to check that out. And I don't somehow, I don't know, I don't feel like this is going to suck. I just light it up.
I mean, I was all ready to hate Contra Rogue Core, and as we know, I didn't. I mean, it was bad, but I liked it.
I was ready to enjoy that Castlevania. I usually go in stuff ready to find the good in it these days.
I would like to propose a thought experiment. Imagine that you're streaming through a bizarre glitch where half of your viewers get audio but no visuals, and half of your viewers get visuals but no audio.
Okay.
What game could you play that both sets of your subscribers would enjoy the most?
Half get no video and half get no audio.
That's right.
Certainly not Kenji Ino's Real Sound.
Yeah, not that one.
My first thought is a point-and-click adventure game. It does not require voice acting. The dialogue's on screen. You're playing, I don't know, Sam and Max or Monkey Island or something like that, right? So like all the dialogue is there. All of the inventory is visible. The people who can't hear you are understanding what's going on in the game because the audio is not necessary, and they're seeing what you're clicking on and trying. And the audio only folk you are sort of narrating to and describing your thought process to and what you're trying and why it's not working.
That's a good one.
I'm thinking LSD Dream Simulator, or Dream Emulator, sorry, because it's
that's
very
designed by the guy who made Planet Tokyo.
That's right.
Our second Planet Tokyo reference.
Yeah, good one, huh?
I mean, it's not that obscure in this frame of reference. Anyway, LSD Dream Emulator is very visually appealing, but it is also one of those games that I think it's entertaining to talk about what you see, and also the sound is curious enough that I think both parties would have a good time. Like the people that are just listening will get a weird soundscape and your reactions, and then the people that are just watching will, I mean, the chat's probably still running, so people could be suggesting them cool soundtracks to play along with it, which could be pretty good, I think. That's one that I got. It's not as good as Frank's, but I think it's something.
You know, I have to say that I was spending that time thinking, like, what is a fun game that would be interesting to hear someone describe, right? I mean, I think Brandon hit on that with LSD probably, but I do think that, to be honest, if it was me, I would absolutely go for the cheap option the same way as Frank and just go for a text adventure. Because, like, text adventure, if you can't hear it, you can just read it. And if you can't see it, you can just hear it. The end.
I would like to read an excerpt on the Gingo Wiki for the entry for Planet Tokyo.
Oh, yeah,
the trivia section has one line on it. And this is the trivia for the video game Planet Tokyo. Planet Tokyo means Planet Tokyo or Tokyo Planet. Also, it can be a combination of planet and Tokyo.
Very, very good. Very good.
Well, they cracked the code on that one.
They
Game's
sure did.
chill as heck. I mean, it's not good at all, but I really like it.
I mean, who needs good stuff? Here's another good one, but this is basically LSD Dream Emulator again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting the name of it. Screaming Mad George's pinball horror game. What was that called? Phantasm.
Screaming Mad George.
I'm gonna look it up. Paranoia Escape. That's the one I was thinking of.
I would recommend the video game Rhythm and Face, if anybody knows that one. Are you all just listing video games that have equally interesting audio and visual components? And we're talking about streams, and it's like you're not talking about like what is the sound? Does the sound not include me on the microphone being like,
no, it does.
Whoa,
it does.
This rules.
It includes you saying, whoa.
It does include you.
Does it include me going,
wow,
like that, or
yeah.
what? Like, or is it just?
I'm specifically selecting games though that are like they're not like action packed, so you will be talking about what you're seeing more than you'll be like stopping and because I don't feel like a first person shooter, though it may have engaging sound, will be the one to watch for people that are sound only.
Yeah,
because you'll just be going like, oh, when you get killed, and it's gonna mean nothing.
I find myself pretty I think I'm pretty good at narrating video games as I play them. And I think that a video game is also just really fun to look at and watch someone play, because it's like a personality test and everybody plays it a different way. And it's also a game that I have in the past had a lot of fun narrating as I play. It's just any Hitman game. I would say something like Yakuza, but you could just watch a long play of Yakuza if you want the story. Otherwise, I think, Hitman, people play different ways at different days, And also, me just talking about what I'm doing, I feel like is pretty fun. Final answer for me.
I think the problem is with a lot of the games where you sort of generate funny stories. If anything, like, it's actually more fun to hear someone tell the story than it is to watch them do it, right? I think in a Hitman, like, it's enjoyable to create those stories and it's enjoyable to hear those stories, but it'd be more boring to me to just watch you perform those actions. Do you know what I mean in the video? I think, Jaffy, did you say equally enjoy? Or did I make that up in my head?
The specific word of the question was enjoy the most.
Like, they would both enjoy, or which side would enjoy more?
You're trying to foster the maximum amount of enjoyment for both sides. Not necessarily equal, but both of them should enjoy it.
I think you can play Hitman a real funny way. It's fun to play Hitman a real funny way.
Yeah,
just
I guess.
Be walking around like about to throw a briefcase at a guy in public, and or something. I don't know. There's some fun ways to mess up in Hitman on purpose. But
that's probably funnier to watch than it is to hear.
Well, so
I don't know.
Along the lines of that, I think I was just watching another clip from Oblivion where some nonsense happened, and I was just thinking about how that
sucks.
That was probably just about as funny to watch as it is to hear, because I watched it without sound first, and it was pretty funny, and then I watched it with sound, and it was much funnier, but the sound by itself was definitely funny. It was a situation where, like, some lady lures a guy into her house, and then he's like, oh, well, we won't be having any of that. And then she's like, come feast, my friends. And then a bunch of rats, one big rat descends upon him, and he falls down stiff as a board. And then he's like saying stuff, and her follow-up dialogue is way too quiet underneath, and it sounds really funny. And then the player walks up to her and she says, I have no regrets. And it's very funny in either context. So Oblivion might be good.
Sounds like smoke some weed.
But you did see it first.
I did see it first.
Like, I think it's you did see it first, and I think it is funnier because you saw it. Like, if you just heard it, it would be funny, but it wouldn't be as funny. So I think that one side's always going to be winning out here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking as a person who streamed sort of a lot, I think if this scenario occurred, I think 50% of the people, that is 50% from each category, would just leave and would not watch the stream.
I would like you all to create a new game mode for Minesweeper.
Okay.
It's just straight up Sudoku. That's it. That's my answer.
Oh, yeah, just Sudoku. Yeah, that's good.
Just add Sudoku to Minecraft. I mean, Minesweeper.
I've got one, which is that your grid is now a sphere, and rather than flagging and depressing, you actually have a little brush, and you have to sweep all the dust off without triggering it.
Oh, you're sweeping the mine.
You're sweeping the mine, but it's the same. It's basically the same mechanic, and it's on a sphere, so it's like Tetrasphere type of thing, and you're just dusting.
Tetrasphere rules.
Yeah,
I kind of like that, actually.
It's not the worst idea I've ever had.
No.
Let's celebrate that.
It's not the worst idea you've had on this podcast.
No, I have a lot of them here.
I would make it, call it Minesweeper. You go to sleep, and you wake up, and
the puzzle solved.
You get 1 turn per 8 hours, and you can pay for more. And you pay for energy points.
Here's one. The more Minesweeper puzzles you solve, the more cryptocurrency you mine. Because you're mining.
You get that crypto.
I mean, that's over, Brandon. I mean, maybe you missed the memo, but there is no value in mining cryptocurrency anymore.
It's coming back a little bit, unfortunately.
Did you see that? Did you see those TikTok videos actually of the guys like in China, like selling all of their 360 Ti's and stuff like that? Like just guys just standing in piles of graphics cards, like It's like to the point where
That's
I'm like,
good.
I haven't upgraded my PC in like 2 years, right? Like, and I've been wanting to upgrade it, but I'm like, I'm not paying that ridiculously inflated money for like a graphics card and
Well, now you
processor
don't
or shit
have
like
to,
that.
Jerry.
Yeah, now I can just like, I guess, buy like about 40 graphics cards for the price of what one used to cost. So as long as it wouldn't get me shipped from China, so good times ahead for everybody.
Yeah, I think so.
It's time for big old PC games. Get that Witcher 3 and 4K 120. You try that.
Aren't those things just going to like fall apart though? Because they've just been in constant use.
Well, a lot of people are saying that a lot of them are fairly like recent cards that they can only have been running for like a month or something because like the crash was very rapid, right? And people were not expecting it. Like, so like as long as you get one of the more recent cards, like apparently you would be fine.
I was going to say, get those graphics cards and just invent a new cryptocurrency. And then just bring it back.
Yeah.
Throwback.
You'll have all the cards.
I mean, they keep trying to do it.
We all know that's probably going to happen, right? It's not actually going to go away. Capitalism...
It's in the process of happening right now, I bet.
Will grind on. Like, it's just like some other bullshit's going to happen. Like, NFTs are probably going to continue on ruining all of our game development lives. And there'll be some other bullshit that like someone has come up to make it make sense. Like we're post value, right? In commerce, right? People just want to make the money move around. And so like cryptocurrency it's just never going to go away. I think like it's just what's happening. It's just, we're just going through a bad time of it. That's not me saying to people who are listening, like invest in cryptocurrency because it's fucking terrible, but like, it's just the bullshit we're going to have to live with until the climate is the point we're destroyed, right? It's just what's going to happen.
So like a Minesweeper, but you can pay to own they're different little flag colors. And you can pay to own that flag color forever, and then you can use it also in Fortnite, and you can
But if you hit a bomb, right, it immediately gets sent to some random person on the internet.
All my flags gone.
But just the way that every NFT works, which is like basically click in. As soon as you own an NFT, if you click anything on the internet, it's immediately stolen, right? That's as far as I understand. That's how NFTs work.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, and then once you steal enough flags, you can start a United Nations of NFT Minesweeper flags. Is that a good idea?
I think that's a great idea.
Thanks.
My idea for Minesweeper is this is my great idea for an idea for a Minesweeper is it's oops all mines.
Ooh.
It's all mines. There's only one square is safe.
Yeah.
And you have to find it, and if you don't, you got to restart, and it shuffles every time.
What do people like to play on their Windows PC when they have no games and are bored? It's either going to be Solitaire or it's going to be Minesweeper, right?
Correct.
So, in my version, every square that you click that doesn't contain a mine contains one of the cards you need to fill up your Solitaire decks. But if you hit a bomb, you're ruined, right? So you're playing both games at the same time. There's probably some balancing that needs to be worked out, but I think it's $1 million idea.
No, there's something here.
Call me Microsoft.
Okay, Microsoft.
My name is not Microsoft, just to be clear. I want Microsoft to call me.
You might as well roll Hexic HD in there as well.
Might as well.
No one is playing Hexic HD. I mean, my goal here is the middle-aged women who are playing Minesweeper or Solitaire, right? So, like, they aren't playing Hexic HD unless you know different middle-aged women from me.
I think we should all take a little break to play some Hexic HD.
Well, they got to put Hexic HD on Windows. They got to put it on there by default.
I guess I'm not going to go anywhere because I'll rile up the dogs. So I'm going to stay.
So what's the deal with the dog, Brandon?
Do you have multiple dogs there now?
We're dog sitting Pocket's best friend Willow, who is an 80-pound pit bull who does not. She unfortunately has not been taught boundaries, so she doesn't know when to stop playing with Pocket, who is so much smaller than her. And sometimes she takes the cue of him feeling hurt or running away and trying to hide, or us telling her to stop as a cue to go harder and be more aggressive. So we have to watch them all the time, basically. They're in separate rooms right now.
That sucks.
They're friends and they have a good time and they like each other a lot, but they're used to being out in a field and not in a house that's maybe not as big as it could be for them to run around and for him to escape and
Ain't
stuff.
you got no field for them to run around in?
We don't have a field. Also, she had leg surgery, so she's not supposed to be running around now.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. This week, it's time for us to go to the Dirtbag. This is the part of the show where we take a question submitted to us at patreon.com/insertcredit, where for just a few bucks a month, you can get access to the forum that allows you to submit these questions. You can get extra bonus episode every month, and some other cool stuff that you'll only find out the true nature of if you join the Patreon. This week's question comes from Seth, who asks, what responsibilities does a king of fighters have to their subjects?
I think probably about as much as like Miss America has. Miss America is going to go around and change voting laws or whatever, according to the speech at the end of the ceremony. I think that's kind of King of Fighters is probably about as influential as Miss America.
How could you miss America? It's huge.
Oh, kaboom.
So many people in it.
Hold on.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. That's all you need.
How could you miss America? It was never that cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
It is on the way out. Let's all admit it.
Yeah.
I think the responsibility you have to your subject is to fight your hardest. I think that's the only responsibility there is in the King of Fighting.
That makes sense.
I think your main responsibility is beat the goddamn heck out of anybody who so much as looks at you sideways, right? Like, otherwise, where's the reputation go?
Yeah.
Well, I think to be a true king of fighters, you have to know when to not fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Is there a squire of fighters? Is there a duke of fighters?
Why wouldn't there be?
If you were the king of fighters, who would you nominate as your first annual duke of fighters?
Patrick Miller.
A first annual Duke of Fighters, second annual Duke of Fighters. Who do you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Miller's like the one fighter we all know. So.
Yeah. It's probably Patrick Miller.
I don't know that much about King of Fighters, to be honest, but I assume it works kind of like the Santa Claus, which as soon as you become the King of Fighters, you have to quickly find a Queen of Fighters, or you die or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mrs. Claus, it's called.
Well, King of Fighters is a team-based fighting game, so you kind of come with your own retenue.
Well, that makes it confusing because we did talk on that KOF episode about who is the King of Fighters, but you, except in a couple of games, usually you win as a team, and so it's like a committee of kings. There are some where you win solo, but like who is indeed is the king when you got Terry, Andy, and Joe all just standing there like. Are they all the kings?
They're the true kings. They're the true kings.
That's where the three kings from the
old Bible. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, from the Bible come from.
It's very true. Congratulations.
We did it. Frankincense, myrrh, the whole shebang.
Oh, yeah.
So then who's Jesus? Oh, Orochi. Orochi is Jesus in that scenario.
Yeah.
I think.
That makes sense.
I think that's right.
All right, we've solved it. Next question. By now, we've all seen that Dall E AI that makes images out of prompts you type in, like Trail Cam Batman or Basquiat Ronald McDonald. What will the first iterations of this technology be like for designing whole video games?
Oh, God. I don't know if there will be one of those. I think that seems... I mean, I guess there could be, but it'll... okay, so if we're talking about a first iteration, I think that, those like weird hacks that people do for... Final Fantasy, like multiplayer hacks and like creating new scenarios and doing whatever. I feel like it'll be something like that. It'll be more on the mod scale of things. So you could probably get an AI to do a Half-Life mod that'll be really weird and strange, but it might not go anywhere, but it'll be able to run without crashing immediately. So
I completely disagree. I think AI video game generation, much like AI art generation, isn't modifying art. If I understand correctly, like the AI model is more looking at like subtracting things until it figures things out. So
they need a base, like they're still.
But yeah, I understand they need a base, but modifying an existing human-made base is very difficult and requires a human for the most part. Whereas I'm saying I think an AI game is just kind of playing by its own rules in order to modify itself, because sort of hacking at something is a very specific thing that is going to break something else if you hack at it.
But I mean, like changing textures and doing things like that. I think the first iteration that would be. Oh,
we're talking about first iteration. I think you're right, actually. Sorry. So I was thinking more like modifying gameplay on the fly. But if we're talking just modifying assets, yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be modifying probably like tile-based games, like NES games or something like that, and it's going to look horrible.
Yeah, making new rules for Dwarf Fortress or something.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'll have like rules, right? It'll literally just be like you type in like Sonic and Super Mario and it just spits out like a ROM hack basically, and whatever that is, it's going to be so unbelievably annoying, and you're never going to be able to escape it on your goddamn social media, because every single other post is going to be somebody else posting one that they like. The thing about AI generation of any form is that it's exactly the same as your feed being full of people describing their dreams to you. No one likes it when people are like, "Oh, last night I dreamt and I this thing happened and it was really crazy."
It's
and you're
terrible,
like,
yeah.
That's just not. You're just talking nonsense to me. I don't care. Like, and it doesn't. There's no discussion. Like, so people are like, "Oh, look at this. It's, as you say, Ronald McDonald Basquiat, or it's Alf, and he's at the O.J. Simpson trial." You're like, "Okay, famous character sure be at funny situation." You know, like that's exactly what any video game version of it's going to be. It's just going to be like, "Hey guys, we put this thing into this thing," and it's not interesting.
No, there is just moments in your life when someone begins to describe a dream to you. You have this. I have this encyclopedia of recollections of just buzz-killed moments wherein someone starts to go, I had this dream. I'm talking about like your girlfriend. You wake up and you're just lying in bed on a Sunday morning and the window's open and it's nice. And you're just like, what a nice morning. And then your girlfriend just goes, oh, I just had such a weird dream, dude. And you're like, man. It's like, how do you just, there's no way to escape. There's no way to say, I don't care. It was real cool. I'm sorry. I've tried saying I'm sorry when told I had such an interesting dream. I'm sorry about that. Just like try to act like I'm the customer service manager at the Dream Factory. Where it's just, oh man, that's how I started to feel about that AI stuff real fast. The interesting thing about that Dall E AI is there were a couple of people who were good at getting good results out of it. Did you know what I'm talking about here? There was someone was getting it to generate fast food logos.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. That was really cool.
No, there's some okay stuff. Like on the insert credit forums, we do one where someone picks the name of a game and then you get one of those generators to make something, and then everybody else tries to guess what that game is based on the thing that the AI tried to make. And so it can be pretty fun to like try to suss out what this AI is trying to do.
As a sort of a party game, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've made a folk game out of it. It's not really the actual thing itself that's interesting. It's the game that you made this fun. Like,
yeah.
What I want to know is that if we have an AI that could draw friggin' Alf at the O.J. Simpson trial, but I don't have an AI that could block those images and any images of babies. I never want to see your fucking baby. I don't care what it's doing from everything. Right? Why can't I just type into Twitter or something, don't ever show me a fucking baby. Don't ever show me a Dall E. People don't tag it as well. They don't like tag Dall E or AI generated, so I can at least block that fucking shit, mute it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's at this point, it's just like, do I have to block everyone? Do I never hear anyone speaking ever again? Because
I'm gonna tell you what.
It's like, how do you not know it's boring? I mean, how do people not know it's boring? Like, it's boring.
Okay, Mathew Kumar. First of all, what you gotta do is just stop looking at it. Just turn. I've
got to.
I haven't looked at social media now in like 7 months. It's pretty good. I just sit here, I smoke weed, and I just work 20 hours, 16 hours a day, and I don't have to worry about, I talk to my friends on Discord, you just get a couple of buds, just to do it like the old style, just talk to a couple of buds on the Discord, and
you have a good point.
And if somebody has a baby, just don't talk to them anymore. It's easy.
That's usually what happens, let's be honest.
It is, it's a decision they make. They just wind up disappearing.
I'm just kidding. Babies, I can sort of understand how someone feels about a baby, because I have a child over here. Where you at? Come here, Bibis.
I get it.
Get over here, Bibis.
I get it.
He's over by the door. He's standing sentinel.
Yeah, no,
right
pets are completely different. Like, I understand, like, I have a cat, like, I could look at pictures of that cat. I look at pictures of anybody's cat all fucking day, right? That touches a particular part of my brain.
You look at pictures of any cat, and basically cats just look like cats. Whereas my Bibbidi Babbis, he's a unique individual. So
I mean, yeah, okay, exactly. That's how people feel about their children, how people feel about their dogs, and blah blah blah, right? I think Bibbidi Babbis is great. I love to look at pictures of him. He's a fantastic little guy.
He's my baby.
I don't need to block him. I want to block the babies.
I'd like to block this discussion. Let's move on to our next topic. Is the implementation of fast travel a tacit admission that traversing your game's world isn't interesting?
Oh, that's what I always said in my review of Oblivion, was if you have to add fast travel, maybe you just maybe your slow travel sucks.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
That's how I believed in the beginning. That's how I believed about those things. And I still sort of believe it. I think except I've kind of evolved my understanding of that. It's no longer, if you have to add fast travel, you're admitting your slow travel sucks. And it's now more, if your game has to have fast travel, maybe your game's too long. It's not too big. Maybe your game's too long.
Yeah.
Traversing back and forth across a huge city like 2 or 3 times is pretty fun. Especially if you add some sort of mystery or tension.
Yeah, I mean, look at Yakuza.
Your character's on a phone call with somebody setting up a job or whatever. Or you're being tailed by someone like a couple of times. But Lord, after you have to cross a whole city like 90 times, it's like, I don't care anymore. And I'm talking about Cyberpunk here. I ended up fast traveling the heck out of that game. And it's so weird because the game is so grounded, and they really do such a good job of making every single part of the open world feel like a very real place. Like, it's quite remarkable. And then the fast travel is just like there's like a phone booth up in an apartment building, and it'll just take you anywhere. That's weird, man. I don't know. Game's too long. Jerry?
I mean, I don't think there's any like blanket answer to this, because I think a good game will give you activities that are optional to do by slow traveling.
Yeah.
And it's just, what do you want to be doing right now?
Those Spider-Mans, man. Those Spider-Mans are the perfect example where the slow travel's pretty fun.
There ain't no slow travel in that.
Yeah, well, the quote-unquote slow travel, right? Like, is like, there is fast travel, and I played all the way through both of those games and never used the fast travel.
Yeah, I never used the fast travel in them either. The Manhattan is, at least I didn't play the second one yet, but Manhattan is actually fairly small, actually.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And you can get across it so fast that you never feel the need to do it.
I just Ubered from 114 to 110 right before this show, and it didn't take too long at all. Manhattan in real life, even in a taxi, isn't so big. I think that Manhattan in the Spider-Mans is a nice, tasty size, but it still feels like something. Doesn't feel like as much as something as Cyberpunk does. But man,
I really wish that PC port was also the Miles Morales game.
Oh shoot, yeah, they're putting that on PC, aren't they? I bet that's gonna look real good. It's the remastered one as well.
But I want to play the one I didn't play, man.
Miles Morales one is good. It's a real full. I mean, the interesting thing about it is a real full-blooded, full video game. I don't know what full-blooded means. It's a full video game, but it's only like 10 hours long.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's great, and you're gonna love this, Frank. It takes place during goddamn Christmas, right?
Oh God!
So it's Manhattan full of Christmas decorations and snow.
I don't want to find my PS4.
Yeah,
that game got too hyped up for me. Unfortunately,
which one did? Miles Morales or the?
I was all ready to have a fun time, and I did not succeed. I played it for an hour and a half.
Did you play the first Spider-Man?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So
what did you not like about it?
I just didn't grab me at all.
I think it requires a lot of mechanical foreknowledge of the first one, because the mechanics, especially in the combat, are a little a little persnickety, I suppose I would say.
That's how I felt that way, and then I also felt as though if I did not care about Spider-Man or references to Spider-Man, that the story was not something for me.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the case.
Yeah, I find the comic book storytelling cheesy beyond repair, but in comparison to some other kinds of trash it could have been, it was fluffy, it was popcornish, it was nice. I think Miles Morales had better storytelling than the first one. which I guess if you didn't play the first one, that doesn't mean much to you.
Yeah.
But I loved Miles Morales as a character because he was like, oh man, what am I going to do? He always sounded like he had to take a dump. It was real good. He was just like really worried and scared of everything.
I think I wasn't expecting a comic book movie, even though it was, or comic book game, even though it was from a comic book. I just wasn't, the way people were talking
That is
about it.
deranged, Brandon. You have to accept that that's deranged.
No, I mean, the way,
I picked up Spider-Man, the video game. I wasn't expecting it to be like a comic book thing.
Exactly.
because of the way that people, well, I guess I can't talk about this now.
The dog is just as angry as me about it, Brandon. It's on you, buddy.
I'm ready for that Insomniac Wolverine game, dude. Is it going to be Yakuza?
Oh,
Lord.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Yakuza, but you're just Logan? Is that what it's going to be?
Oh god, yeah, Yakuza, and you're Logan, and you're in what's it called, Madripoor, which is like the crime country in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
country where all the crime lives. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll do it.
yeah.
I'll roll that up and smoke it.
Oh baby,
And that's not going to have any fast travel because you're just going to walk around and get beat up. And people are going to try to beat you up
You're gonna
everywhere.
just light your cigar and just say "bub" to people as you walk around. Oh man,
There should be a dedicated bub button.
Man, I just hope Deadpool is in it so he can tell some of his great jokes. You know that Deadpool.
Deadpool's hilarious,
Good
dude.
times. What I was going to say earlier was that I wasn't expecting it to be a comic book movie because of the way people were talking about it, and because or comic book game,
Oh.
and they kept.
Well, I'm
saying
gonna go ahead and tell you.
that.
I'm gonna give you a tip. I hate to use this phrase, but going forward, Brandon, going forward, if anyone, including someone you respect, if anyone at all, including someone you respect, makes a Twitter tweet or a Facebook post or any sort of social media outburst, disclaiming that they are having a real good time watching the new Marvel Cinematic Universe TV show, even though they're
Yeah.
not a comic book fan. I don't even like comic books, but WandaVision, it's pretty good. Like, if they say something like that, just never listen to that person for the rest of your life.
I think you're probably right.
I don't want to talk about Marvel Television, but I do want to say to Brandon, why would you ever believe anyone saying anything about anything, liking anything would mean you would like it? I know you very well that's never going to be
I
true.
just want to like stuff, I guess. I want to find stuff to like.
It's a weird maneuver to go for the Miles Morales game and not the original Spider-Man, which is a fuller, bigger game that ingratiates you into the mechanics.
I had to judge it for a competition, so
There it is.
I received it.
Well, you certainly
So,
judged
I did.
it. Here's our next question. Which video game feels the most Scottish?
Oh,
is there a Braveheart game for the PS1? Yeah, there must be, right?
there is none, unfortunately. I would have played
Really?
the heck out of it.
No way.
I would have done played it till its wheels fell off, to be perfectly honest.
I'm on Moby Games right now. Hang on. There's a Braveheart game.
I would have done played it till its wheels fell off.
About to hook you up. Braveheart for Windows, 1999.
That ain't no video game.
Ain't got
Is
that
that an
one.
RTS?
I think it might be.
Do y'all remember Dragon Force for Sega Saturn?
Whoa.
How
Whoa.
Dragon
of
Force
course
had
I
the
do.
straight up the battles just kind of looked like Braveheart, everybody said.
Here's a screenshot of
Yeah.
Braveheart for Windows.
According to Adam Pavlaka from Next Gen, Braveheart for PC is a convoluted attempt at a game, but that's not necessarily a game.
Interesting. I'm intrigued.
I kind of don't mind a convoluted attempt every now and again.
Oh, it's by IDOS. I might have this.
IDOS rules.
Is GTA the most Scottish game? It's made there, right?
I don't know.
Oh, the Video Game History Foundation currently has 3 sealed copies of Braveheart for the PC.
Nice.
Oh, that's excellent.
And 1 sealed European copy
Oh, is it from Scotland?
from cleaning out the IDOS offices. So,
I remember that.
yeah. So,
I was
we
there.
got that.
Crack one open, smoke it, dude. It's probably on abandonware.com or whatever.
Matthew, are you abstaining from this question? Is that what's going on?
I'm not abstaining. I was just like, I don't really have an answer. I actually just like opened up. I was like, that's a weird question. So I just like quickly went to Wikipedia's category video games set in Scotland. And it's a lot of kind of pretty weak things. Like, I guess like racing games that have a track in Scotland. Like apparently Excite Truck and Excite Bots, I guess, have Scottish based levels.
Forza Horizon 4 has
Forza Horizon 4
Scotland.
is the most annoying one because like it's clearly set in Scotland, but it's set like in the UK because they didn't like want to like set it only in Scotland for some reason. Like, so even though it's obviously very clearly only Scotland, they're like, this part is England, I guess. And it's like, fuck
They didn't
off.
want to commit to calling it Scotland. Yeah, it's kind of sleazy of them.
It sucks as well because the actual recreation of Edinburgh and everything in Forza Horizon is incredible. Like, actually, that probably is a good argument for the most Scottish video game because, like, it feels so much like driving around Scotland in a high-end sports car. If you particularly stay in the north of the map, that's a great game, actually.
So I have an answer. I might have to pass this through you, Mathew Kumar, as the Scot here. Is it fair to say that the DMA design games are inherently Scottish?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. Having watched Danny O'Dwyer's documentary on DMA design, and just seeing how the games evolved and just used pieces of other games from the past, I believe that all roads lead back to Lemmings, and I'm going to nominate Lemmings as the most Scottish video game ever made.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I mean, I would say so. I mean, famously, like as I said on our Best British Games episode, there's a statue of lemmings in Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of a beloved, important part of Scottish games history. I mean, like, and the game is like great, and the sort of like, how would I put it, the irreverence of it is, I would say, pretty Scottish. So
That's a good answer.
Lemmings is a good answer.
What about this right here
I
that I
feel
put in
like-
the chat? Check it out, Mathew Kumar. Is this the most Scottish thing?
Absolutely, we can all do that. That's one of the secret things they teach you when you go through your Scottish bar mitzvah, the Scottish equivalent of a bar mitzvah.
This is an image from the Jaguar game Kasumi Ninja, which has a character named Angus who lifts up his kilt and the fireball comes out because he's red-haired.
Ah, that's very good.
If it were possible to be racist to Scottish people, this would be it.
Oh, my joke answer was going to be Shrek Super Slam.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say just Shrek.
Which is proof that you can't be racist to Scottish people.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, though, was something based on what Frank just said about DMA Design, which was that Frank might know that DMA Design was working on a cancelled game called Clan Wars, which was actually set in medieval Scotland. So if that had ever come out, that would have been the most Scottish game. So as it did not, I think we're definitely stuck with Lemmings.
Lemmings and Shrek, then, I suppose, is the answer. Lemmings and Shrek. Very good.
Lemmings and Shrek. It's time for our lightning round. We're returning to one of my favorite games, Famicom Feud. In this game,
hit me with it.
Your goal is to name all of the items on a list I have compiled. Each of you has 3 strikes before you're eliminated from the competition. Whoever gets the last item on the list, or is the last person standing, is our winner.
All right.
Today's topic: only 8 movies based on video games have been theatrically released, received at least 20 critical reviews recognized by Rotten Tomatoes, and have a total score above 50%. In this game, your goal is to collectively name all of them.
Oh, critical score above 50%? That is the killer.
Yeah.
That is the killer.
Frank, you go first.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog is correct. That is number 5 at 63%.
63, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's low.
Tim, you're next.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is correct. That is number 3 at 69%.
Nice. Those were the easy ones.
Brandon, you're next.
I'm next. Okay. I think that despite how I think it's really bad, I think Detective Pikachu is on there.
Oh, yeah.
Detective Pikachu is correct. That is number 4 at 68%.
Oh, video game movies are good, actually. The era of...
That one's really bad.
Ah, man, I'm going to have to think about this one because you guys took all of
We took all the easy ones, yeah.
all the good ones. Fuck.
Now it gets interesting.
Maybe the very first Mortal Kombat. No, the most recent Mortal Kombat. Just a movie called Mortal Kombat.
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Fuck. Which one would be highest rated?
I think the recent one, personally. I'm gonna.
The recent one, the most recent Mortal Kombat.
That is correct. Mortal Kombat 2021
Shit as well. It's fucking shit.
I liked it.
was not a very good movie.
has
It
a
was
Rotten
bad, though.
Tomatoes rating of 54%.
Nice.
Oh, just barely squeaking by. I'm going to throw down Resident Evil.
Resident Evil is incorrect. Did not make the list.
Really?
Yeah.
Less than 50%?
And the critical response to all of those Resident Evil movies was terrible.
What?
But But they sold like gangbusters, but they got
Yes.
hated on every single one.
But the first one is just a whatever movie.
The
It's
first
not-
Resident Evil got 36% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Shoot.
I mean, it's not. It is a whatever movie, but I think that especially at that time, reviewers had an us versus them chip on their shoulders regarding video games, especially.
Yeah, it probably would have scored higher today.
Yeah, I think that influenced it. But also, it's like it's so Y2K and so new metal that all bets are off with how people would feel about it today. They might love it.
My turn. So I'm gonna. There's we watched both of the Angry Birds movies over here. Let's just say Angry Birds movie 2. That just seems like a movie that critics would like. Or that enough critics would like. They would be like, oh, it's actually good. It's better than the first one. It's so smart.
The Angry Birds movie 2 is correct. That is number
Is it?
2 at 76%.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that number 2? Oh my god. Yeah, it was a genuinely sort of a smart, like funny little movie that I was in. The sort of thing that I imagined critics would just be impressed by when they watched it.
I have a little Angry Birds story to tell you, which is I had played Angry Birds at this time, but I met a guy at a trade show, and someone introduced him as doing the sound for a very famous game that I might have heard of, and then he went like "Baka!" at me, and I was like, okay, why'd you make that sound? And it was supposed to be like, obviously I would know that it was Angry Birds, but I guess I played it on the train with the sound off and stuff.
Shoot.
And so they just introduced him to me as this guy, this guy who was very famous, who would need no introduction, and then he just squawked by way of introduction.
The person introducing just expected that you were the kind of absolutely unhinged, unleashed, deranged individual to have your sound on, and to be like listening to mobile game sound.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
That was pretty fun. But then once they explained it to me, I was looking at that dude, and he had some thick eyebrows. I was like, did they make some of these birds after you?
Oh, he is the bird, bro.
And he was like, they may have. So, but with his attitude, who knew? Anyway, I guess I gotta check one of
That's
these.
enough stalling for time, Brandon.
What number was the one that got 54 Mortal Kombat?
It's number 6 of 8.
So it being number 6 makes me feel like I could get World of Warcraft on there. Under that. Right?
You mean
Warcraft.
I mean Warcraft. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to allow you saying Warcraft instead of World of Warcraft. However, that is incorrect. Warcraft got 28%.
28.
28%?
Yes.
I thought it was higher than that. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually good, but critics weren't ready. Critics weren't ready, man. Critics weren't. They hadn't had their brains flushed out by a decade of Marvel movies yet.
So I have no idea what could possibly, because we have 2 at 6, right? So I have no idea what number 1 could be. I think that there has to be. It's not going to be Assassin's Creed, but it feels like one of those movies is probably in the list. Like, so maybe Prince of Persia. Is it called Prince of Persia? The one with your pal Brandon.
I believe it's called that. Yeah.
Oh,
with,
Jake
with-
G.
Show me Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia has 37%. That's incorrect.
Oh wow.
Criperino. It's too old.
That was a good try.
Good try. Frank, you're up again.
I'm having a hard time thinking of any that were just even like whatever movies like Resident Evil was, although that kind of bit me, right? But I'm just gonna throw it out. One that came to mind for me was Hitman.
Which Hitman? There's two Hitman movies.
2 Hitmen.
There's 2 Hitmans.
Yeah, there's literally
okay.
Were they both
literally
called
two.
Hitman?
Yeah.
I want to say I saw one around like 2007, something like
Oh,
that.
with Timothy Oliphant.
One's got Rupert Friend in it, right? And the other's Timmy Oliphant.
whatever the original Hitman.
That Hitman movie has 16%. Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah. I was surprised it even had 20 reviews. I thought it might not have had.
That's absolutely bonkos.
It had
bonkers.
160.
15%.
All right.
I just thought it was like a Big Lots Leon the Professional.
That's all it
Yeah.
takes. Like when you need a movie.
16%. I thought it'd be like 52 or something.
Tim,
All right.
you're up.
Well, I've seen all of the recent video game movies because when I worked at Kotaku.com, fancy website, where I ended up watching all of the video game movies because I wanted to like do some sort of video about it, and just basically any recent video game movie is likely to be rated higher. So I'm guessing that I'm guessing that the 2018 Tomb Raider movie has a higher than a 50% because I'm going to justify this before you tell me the answer. Because critics were at that point exhausted with all of the comic book movies. So a video game movie coming along, they were willing to give it a fairer shake. So I'm guessing that Tomb Raider from 2018, starring Alicia Vikander, that's my answer.
Show me Tomb Raider. That is number 7 at 53%.
Seriously?
Really?
Fuck, I picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm telling you, critics softened to the idea of video game movies. Critics have been goblinized.
Well, I'm just gonna cheese it and say maybe the first Angry Birds or Angry Birds Rio. Is that one?
Angry Birds Rio.
I think Rio is a different movie.
Yeah, that's a different
Rio's a
thing.
different movie. That's right. Okay, Angry Birds 1 then is what I'm like.
Show me Angry Birds, the movie. That is incorrect. That got 43%.
Son of a
Shoot. I'm telling you, I saw both of them, and I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, oh, the second one is clearly the good one. Neither of them is good, but the second one is the good one, if you know what I mean.
Matthew, there are only 2 correct answers left on the board. You got 1 strike.
I know, I'm in a bad situation here. Like, I don't know what people could like more than the Angry Birds movie 2. Like, it would have to be something recent, right? Like, and down at the bottom here, it's like, I've already said it's probably not going to be Assassin's Creed, because I'm pretty sure everyone hated that. What else came out in the last, 10 years that's video? Warcraft bombed out?
There's a lot. But I just want to clarify, we're not talking about animes kind of out of the picture, right? So we're
No,
not
these
talking
are not
about,
animes.
Because they have to be rated on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, nothing animated, right? So I can't pick
Right.
a random Pokemon movie, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well, I mean,
gonna be
some of those
anything
Pokemon
like that.
movies are rated, so...
Yeah, some of those
Yeah.
Pokemon movies are rated, but no, they're not on this
Yeah,
list.
but they're not going to be included, right?
Wake me up when a Pokemon movie is rated R, if you know what I mean.
Cool.
You know what? I'm just going to say, even though I know it's wrong, because I actually like it and I think everyone's wrong about it, I'm going to say Double Dragon.
Double Dragon is
Nice.
incorrect.
Yeah, that's not on there.
That film rules, dude.
Jeffy didn't even try for any drama there. It's just
No.
like, yeah, no. No, absolutely not.
maybe it had 20, it been critically reappraised, 20 critics popped out, gave it lovely fresh tomatoes and like, what's his face was having a little resurgence.
Dacascos, yeah.
Iron Chef, the Iron Chef guy that was in it.
Okay, so
Dacascos.
it's my turn. My turn here.
Yeah, Frank, you've got 1 strike left.
I know. I'm aware, Alex Jaffe. Thank you. I just remembered a recent one. I have no idea how it was. I know I was completely uninterested in it, but show me Uncharted.
Show me
Ooh.
Uncharted.
Good
A
one.
bold guess.
I'm interested in
The
that.
2022 Uncharted, that got 40%. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I'm out.
Oofed.
I'm out.
Much deserved.
Frank, I was going to say that was my guess, and I'm glad you did it. I'm just going to go for the man continues to post Instagram stories in which he gives his mom a truck or he gives his mom a car. I'm unaware, mostly more so than less than more than tangentially of what is going on in any of the many movies he churns out and puts on Netflix and such, along with his buddy Ryan Reynolds and whatnot. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did make a video game movie called Rampage, based on the
Rampage,
video
yeah,
game
of
series
course.
Rampage. And I saw that movie and I was like, well, it was kind of one of those milkshake straw movies, where you kind of drink the whole Coke.
Yeah, I bet that's on there. I think that's right.
Show me Rampage. 51%. Rampage is our number 8 game.
Dwayne the Squeaker Johnson, he squeaked it.
Yeah, which means all we're missing is the number 1 highest rated video game adaptation film of all time.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's so weird.
I'm looking it up, and I don't know about this, Jeffy.
Yeah,
Did you, Frank? Oh yeah, Frank has been.
I'm out, so I'm
He's
cheating.
eliminated.
Frank's allowed. I guess Frank's allowed to cheat.
Jeez, well, the one I was gonna choose was another bid for number 8. So I was gonna. This is not my guess now, but I was gonna go for Monster Hunter because I know that it was briefly banned in China, which could have made the American critics decide to like it. It was going to be my thinking, but
I want to see that Monster Hunter movie, dude.
Yeah, me too.
I'd
I
smoke
presumed
that.
it was bad. It's got Tony Jaa in it for some reason.
It's got Tony Jaa's back. He's back. He's back like John Wick.
And it's got Mila Jovovich, because she's got to be in a video game movie. Might as well.
It's not legal. It's not legal.
Okay,
if she ain't
number
there.
1. That's really the tough one. I feel like it's got to be another...
It's clearly the Dragon Quest V movie.
like
That's a
another...
joke.
Does Wreck-It Ralph... Does Wreck-It Ralph count?
I assume Wreck-It Ralph or like Free Guy doesn't count.
Wreck-It Ralph, they can't count because the video game didn't come first.
Yeah, I will tell you Wreck-It Ralph does not count.
Yeah, okay.
Free
so that
Guy
means
doesn't count either, right?
Yeah.
Free Guy also does not count. The Last Starfighter does not count. The Wizard does not count.
Okay.
It's gonna be some bullshit. Like, is there some sort of like obscure video game that had like an indie movie made? Do you know what I mean?
I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is.
Yeah, it could be.
I think I know what it is because I did watch it as part of my job at Kotaku.com, the fancy website about video games. It was on my radar as movies about video games.
Well, I feel like I'm gonna fail here because I don't know what. I feel like Matthew's got maybe the right direction, but I don't think we're gonna. So since I know I can't get it, I'm just gonna say Super Mario Brothers the movie because I like it and I think it's the best one.
Good one.
Show me Super Mario Brothers the movie. This ain't no game. 1993, Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, 28%.
Yeah, they were all wrong. That was a good movie.
They were all, well, let's say
Yeah.
62% of them were wrong.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm gonna bomb out here as well. Like, when I was again digging around in the 8 region, I was like, oh, maybe one of those random fucking of those 7 Resident Evil sequels. Somebody liked one of them better. But for number 1, I'm gonna have to go for again a movie which I enjoy that I know is wrong, but it should be at the top of the list. It's Street Fighter, the Raul Julia Street Fighter movie.
Oh, nice.
Oh my god. Yeah, there was that one, the rare one that got 90%.
JCVD.
For me, it was Tuesday.
Ming-Na.
That got 12%.
Shoot!
All those people are very wrong. That's a
Blasted.
very enjoyable movie with
Destroyed.
great performances.
Yeah.
I don't trust the Rotten Tomatoes score of any movie that predates Rotten Tomatoes.
Tim, you are default our winner, but it seems like you have a good guess for what number 1 is.
I do know what it is. And it's actually not the one that I was thinking of that was that I watched at Kotaku.com. So I don't know if you all knew this. We mentioned this before. Me and Brandon have talked about doing a sort of a side podcast that is just about video game movies because there are like 150 of them. And basically, before I crack into the backlog, I have a list of movies that came out recently that I must watch before I crack into like the annals of history, right? Before I go back and rewatch Super Mario Bros. The movie or whatever. I have a list of recent ones. And one of them is one that several people told me is actually pretty good though. And it came out last year and it is this werewolf movie. It's Werewolf something. It's based on The Wolf Among Us or whatever it is.
Oh.
Werewolves something. Is it that? Because I know that one came out last year, and sits right next to Uncharted with.
Are you talking about the Sam Richardson film based on the 2016 Oculus Rift game by Ubisoft, Werewolves Within?
Yes, Werewolves Within. Yes, because that's Sam Richardson's hilarious. I like that guy.
I mean, how are we going to get that? That barely counts.
I watched some horrible Amazon movie with him and Chris Pratt just because I like that Sam Richardson guy.
Well, with 86% certified fresh, Werewolves Within
really?
is the number 1 answer.
Wait, seriously?
No one knows that's a video game movie. Like, so none of those reviewers were pre-prejudiced.
My thesis here was that the critics have warmed up in recent years. They've been goblinized by superhero movies, and they're willing to just say nice things about video game movies. So that's what I leaned on there.
No, my thesis is no one fucking knows that's a video game movie because who the fuck has heard of Werewolves Within?
Oculus Rift players.
Yeah, what, all 12 of them?
The only way I know it's a video game is because it's on my Excel spreadsheet of video game movies to watch that I wrote up after doing many Google searches. That's the only reason I know that it's related to a video game. And then I watched a bit of a trailer for it, and I was like, oh, I'd watch this.
You know what, Matthew?
Shoot, maybe it's good.
I have good news for you. We've finally defined an obscure video game.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Oculus Rift fucking video game.
Oculus Rift is hiding all sorts of gems.
Tim, you've got our question for the next episode, but before we go, who's got recommendations for our audience to engage with between now and the next time we visit their podcast feed?
I recommend that if you know any retired or semi-retired game developers in the Midwest who have basements and are pack rats, that you let me know, because every time I meet one, ends up digging up a bunch of really cool stuff and shipping it home to the archive. So let me know.
You find a Braveheart game.
Let me know in the comments. Just came home with about 15 vial boxes of stuff from Mike Mendheim, the Mutant League guy. It's
I know
all
that
of
guy.
his game designs ever, basically. And it's real good stuff. All kinds of stuff about that Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse game that they were doing at 3DO that never happened. I think we've got multiple builds of it even.
I'd play that.
Paper designs for, the Mutant League games, and like a totally unproduced Superman game for Sunsoft is in there, just completely designed with art and everything. It's good stuff.
Oh, that rules.
Find me more Midwest basement pack rats, and I will go get their stuff. That's my recommendation.
Very
It's
good.
a
I'm
good
on
one.
board with that. I got some. Let's see. I was watching the tool-assisted speedrun of Pac-Man World on the PlayStation 1, and I found that quite amusing because there's a lot of weird movement mechanics being exploited. But I think the most interesting thing about it for me is that it's a full 3D game, but it's kind of 2.5D in that it mostly takes place along like a horizontal corridor, but you can move any direction within that corridor. But there are walls, and one thing that the speedrunner often does is like jump and wiggle around, so they go like outside of the world and around the wall to get to the other side of it. And it's fun to look at and weird because it looks like a game that you could break through regular speedrunning. And watching a tool-assisted speedrun of it is pretty neat. So that's one thing. Also, I'm going to recommend a new Genesis game called Mikey LD 95,
Ooh.
which you can buy on Bandcamp for, I think, like $20. It's basically this dude released an FM synthesis album on a Genesis cartridge, so you play it on your Genesis, but he also packaged it inside of a pseudo Windows 95 environment, so you can like click around various things. It's ultimately just like little buckets of information. So you go to Twitter and there's some canned tweets that were written, but there's all kinds of little secret stuff. Like you can restart into ME-DOS, and then there's like little blip bloops music in there and stuff. And if you do certain things, you'll get an email, a spam email, and if you click the attachment, then it turns all your icons into little red X's, and clicking everything goes thunk, thunk, and you have to reset. It's cute, and you can tell that he had a good time making it and hiding stuff in there, and I like the music. It's just some jazzy FM synth stuff. So you'll probably enjoy that, listeners of this podcast. I'm recommending that one.
Well, sounds pretty good.
It is good.
Tim, you got anything?
Trying to think what if anything has transpired since I spoke last into this microphone. I ain't got nothing. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
That's okay.
That's all. Thank you. I recommend just
Thank you.
there you go. That's what I recommend. Just say thank you for all the things in your life.
Thank you.
Express gratitude as coldly and flatly.
That actually reminds me of one other recommendation before Matthew goes, which is that you should set up a nice time for yourself. I've said this in the past. It's nice to buy yourself a fun beverage and do whatever. But I've been
roll a little joint.
I've been watching The Prisoner on Canopy, 1967's The Prisoner.
A good show.
And on Canopy, as you all may know, you can only watch 4 things per month. And so I've been watching The Prisoner every Sunday, because since I can only watch 4, I might as well do it that way.
Oh,
and
that's a cool
eating
idea.
like a bowl full of loquats from my tree, and it's kind of nice to give yourself the same or a similar experience once a week as kind of like a little touchstone or a little reset. So I'm sitting there and watching The Prisoner. All the lights are off. I got a bowl full of loquats fresh from the tree, all washed. It's just a nice full sensory experience that you can have. So if you could set something up like that for yourself, please do. It'll help your brain.
Full spectrum glorier is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Have yourself a good one. I recommend having a nice bowl of cereal.
So first up, rather than recommendation, I'm going to give a big shout out to my mum, who is retiring from being a primary school teacher this week.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
And I just want to say, even though she doesn't listen to the podcast, she will not know that I'm doing this. I love my mum very much, and she's a great mum and was a brilliant teacher.
Congratulations, Mum.
Congratulations. But in terms of recommendations, other than I recommend congratulating my mother, you might have heard Baz Luhrmann has a Elvis movie coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Called Elvis or something.
Big old Elvis.
Fuck Baz Luhrmann.
Yes.
He's horrible. His
Yes.
movies are shit.
Yes.
I don't want you to support Big Luhrmann, right? Ignore Big Luhrmann. Support small filmmakers. And I want to recommend, instead of watching his fucking ridiculous Elvis movie, watch a movie by a sort of a regional filmmaker who's kind of become bigger recently from Oklahoma called Mickey Reese. He made a movie in 2017 called Mickey Reese's Alien, which is about the early days of Elvis and Priscilla's marriage. It's a very weird movie with the type of acting you'd expect from, regional filmmaking, but it's a really good, really interesting movie that when I saw it, it captivated me. I still think about it. It's in many ways my interpretation of or impression of Elvis now. He's done a lot of other great movies: Strike, Dear Mistress, and Curious Heart, Climate of the Hunter. You might have seen Agnes recently. It's sort of about sort of a non-horror movie that kind of became a bit larger. But you got to go with the source. You got to go with Mickey Reese's Alien. Highly recommended. Don't support Big Luhrmann.
I thought Luhrmann just died after Moulin Rouge. That's interesting.
Well, he should have.
He made a couple other things.
Yeah, he made them, unfortunately.
I mean, Baz Luhrmann's Australia. Jesus Christ.
I have a few recommendations. I would like to recommend that if you're listening to this show in some format where you can subscribe to a review podcast, that you engage with us in that way to keep the algorithms happy and in our favor. For instance, like this 5-star review from Mythenselv, who wrote, "Very chill, lots of fun discussions and interesting questions. Jaffe's puns are the best part." You can also go to patreon.com/insertcredit,
I see.
where you can become a patron to submit your own topic. These are chosen completely at random, Brandon. I don't know what to tell you. Listen to
I
monthly
feel like the
bonus
last little
episodes.
while, every time you've done this, you've been bumming yourself up.
And get,
That's right.
Really? Has that happened? I just think that's
Yeah.
what people are saying. But if you go to our Patreon, you can get exclusive content, submit your own topics, listen to monthly bonus episodes. You can also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or follow us on Twitter at insertcredit or search for Insert Credit on YouTube. This show is edited by Esper Quinn. Thank you, Esper Quinn. With original music by Kurt Feldman. Thank you, Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And I'm Mathew Kumar.
And congratulations, Mrs. Kumar.
Thank you. Thank you.
I recommend everybody wear sunscreen. That's what I was going to recommend after you talking about Baz Luhrmann all
I'm
those
doing it.
years.
I've
For
been
you
doing it.
talking about Baz Luhrmann. Everybody should wear sunscreen.